Just when you thought the transfer window couldn't get any crazier, Cristiano Ronaldo returns to Manchester United. The legend is back at the Theatre of the Dreams. Welcome back to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron. I'm joined here by our regular Tony and our special guest, Juzzy. How you doing, lads?
Not bad, mate. Pretty good at the moment.
If you haven't guessed already, both United fans, so I'm a little outnumbered here. But Tony, I'm going to start with you. You must be over the moon with the transfer. Talk us through it.
Yeah, obviously, with all the rumours, we spoke about this last podcast, and I said he'd be dead to me if he went to City. Yeah, obviously over the moon. It's someone who, if you ask anyone that was born around the years we were born in, a little bit after, it's Ronaldo made him fall in love with the club. So to be able to watch him put on the red shirt again, blue shirt if we wear the two other kits, but red shirt. It's honestly it's a way for him to end that fairy tale career.
And Juzzy, your famous 3 words you've been rocking recently, 21 is coming. Thoughts on that?
Oh, it's looking better than it was last week after the game of Southampton. But yeah, what a bit of an emotional roller coaster the last 2 days. 2 days ago, I was thinking I have to try and hate this bloke. Well, like with Tony said, for people our age, like for me, he's always been my favourite player. But luckily, yesterday, the football gods, Sir Alex Ferguson, got involved. A couple other old United players came to United, and it looks like he's hopefully going to help us challenge for some titles and win some silverware.
Yeah. Well, you speak about Sir Alex there. Who do you think had a play in this? Obviously, everybody saw Rio Ferdinand's little cryptic message, little smile at the camera. I think at that point, did you both kind of know that he was coming back rather than going to City?
Well, when I saw that little post that that Rio posted, and I was in a chat with some other boys, and I said I was like, Twitter's going wild now. Everyone's seeing all these subtle little hints, and I was like, and I know I've listened to Rio's podcast. He's always still in contact with Ronaldo, and I'm like, he has to know something. No one has much of the pull as Sir Alex, especially when it comes to Ronaldo. Yeah, like father and son. Obviously, I think Ronaldo, once United got involved, I think he was always going to pick us over City.
Yeah, well, I think it ends up being around, I think it's a 15 mil euro plus 8 mil add-on, so 20 mil guaranteed 2-year deal. From a financial standpoint, phenomenal deal. For a 36, yes, he's 36, but for Ronaldo, who at 36 is better than most 25, in their prime players, he still offers so much. He's going to play, you can only imagine he's going to play striker. He's not the winger he used to be.
100%.
Do you see him, taking United to that next level, or do you just think it's just a great brand? Because it's obviously a great brand deal, bringing Ronaldo back to the club. Do you think he really takes United to that next level?
Oh, I think it's one of two things. Obviously, we've seen what Edison Cavani's done, coming into the squad and showing that leadership. And I think if you look at them compared, Ronaldo's still the player that you're going to want over the two of them. So by adding Ronaldo, who he was in Serie A, and in 140-something games, he scored 100 goals. So he's still got that goal-scoring threat. And I think now, by putting Ronaldo up top, you now add Cavani to the bench, who, if we do need a goal in the 80th minute, you've got 2 aerial threats now in the box as well.
Yeah,
so I think that takes us to the next level.
You saw how Cavani ended the season. What was he, top goal scorer in Europa League or get thereabouts?
Thereabouts.
And yeah, the way he finished the season was very strong. So I think Ronaldo is that same player, but better. I think whatever Cavani can do, Ronaldo can do, regardless of his age. And yeah, depth is a beautiful thing, especially at striker. So Ronaldo up top, you got, as you said, Cavani off the bench, and then you still got the likes of Greenwood who can play at 9. We've got Martial obviously in the mix. See him staying or going at this point?
I see him staying at the moment. Like, at least, especially with Rashford being out for a couple of months. Also, United aren't very good at selling players. Like, Phil Jones just out of the club. Like, we're not that good at letting players go. But it's weird. I'm a big fan of Martial. Like, it's hard not to be. We came on the scene with Liverpool, and it's just it's time now. If he doesn't show a bit of form, I know his first game back the other day after injury for a guess you can use that a little bit of excuse. He's been out for like 5 months. But 2 years ago, he was our top goal scorer. If he can show that a bit, and then he can be in that rotation, like something different. You got those strikers that bring us something different. Like in those games where you need someone that can maybe run that play, running behind. But now it doesn't really have that as much anymore as he used to. It's what you want, like a bit of option. So hopefully he can hit some form.
Yeah, I think just with the price point, obviously it's an absolute bargain regardless, again, of his age and all that stuff. I think it was at the point where, was it George Mendes offered him to City, I believe. Whether or not that was a ploy to get United involved as well, who knows? But I think on City's part, it's a massive L at this point. I think he is the perfect striker they needed to take them to the next level. It's the position they're missing. I think it's no secret that United still need a defensive midfielder, but I think this opportunity here was too much to pass up. You just don't. Club legend returns to the club. He's that goal scorer, and yes, you might not need him, but I think it just you don't pass it up because the shirt sales are going to sell themselves. But yeah, what do you think City? What do you think City's lacking at this point? Do you think this was a big missed opportunity for them, Juzzy?
Well, if you look at CC and say what position they need, it's a striker. Can the false nine work again this year? The thing is that they like using De Bruyne there. He's all in and out of injury. The thing is who they go if they want a striker this year. Who they go for? It's not really anyone available for him. Personally, I think when I saw Ronaldo going to City, I thought, all right, this might give United a straight run at Haaland next year. Like I thought we'd be out of United and buying. I don't see anyone else going for him. Maybe that could be their option next year, obviously. So I don't think Dortmund sell this year. Mm-hmm. So do they wait on that? And they look like they want to keep Jesus. They didn't want to put him in the offer for Ronaldo. So I guess Pep try him. He played on the wing the other day, so
he looked good too. It's a 2-year deal for Ronaldo back at United. Tony, thoughts on that? He's going to be 37, 38 when he leaves. Do you see him just having that impact? Can he be a top goal scorer this season, given his new poacher's role wherever he's played the last few years?
It's an interesting topic. Obviously, he's going to score goals. I think we know wherever he's gone, he's scored goals and he hasn't slowed up. I can see him taking penalties over Bruno, if I'm being completely honest. I think personally I'd want Bruno to keep him, but when CR7 comes into town, you probably give way and you hand him over. It's a tough one. He's going to be there for 2 years. He's going to score goals, but I think there's more of you have a job in United after the 2 years as well, if you want it. And I think that would have been a big drawing point for him.
I think it's obviously a beautiful homecoming. As a Chelsea fan, it's good to have him back in the Premier League. I'm not too scared, to be honest with you. 15 games, 6 losses, 4 draws, 1 goal. That 1 goal, however, wasn't a Champions League final. So let's not talk about that one. But yeah, as a football fan, you want the Premier League to have the best players in the world. You saw Messi go to PSG. Ronaldo obviously couldn't let him upstage in this transfer window, so he's gone back to United. I think, do United still sign a defensive midfielder before the season ends? Before the transfer window ends?
I think they need players going out to sign anyone.
Yeah, also, it's a tough one. Obviously, go Juzzy. Because
I don't think Ronaldo was budgeted, obviously, to
definitely not.
Sign. And obviously he's on thing like 500k a week wages, which obviously outweighs the transfers budget.
Yeah.
I also did see yesterday when he signed, United's stock price went up like 8%, which was worth a couple $100 million just signing him. But like obviously made Jesse Lingard going. Obviously another big thing with like Sol Niguez, him, Chelsea obviously after him, but the option of starting with a loan for this year, I think that could be an option. But I think we won't sign him until someone goes. So see what happens in next week.
Yeah, so you're basically relying on transfers out, the likes of Lingard, possibly 20, 25 million to West Ham, I assume. Martial, does he stay or does he go now? Does he have a spot in the United squad? As you said, Ronaldo was definitely not planned. It wasn't budgeted. But again, you can't turn this opportunity down, especially when City came after him. I think United just at the end of the day probably said, as long as City don't get him, he needs to go somewhere, and United was the only other option. Tony, is 21 coming this year? Is this United's year now?
It's a lot more likely than what it was a couple of hours ago. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to say it. Obviously, Chelsea strengthened well. City's always going to be a threat. Liverpool's going to be a threat. But I think this puts us back in the mix, if I'm being honest. We were very short on strikers. And now we're going to have a squad where you're looking at it's probably going to be Sancho, Ronaldo, and Greenwood. And that's with Rashford still to come back from injury. So I think it puts us in a lot better position. And I'll leave it up to Aaron to tell Ronaldo that he's playing centre defensive mid.
I think the thing with Ronaldo is that he's not going to track back as much as maybe Ole would expect him to. But at the end of the day, as long as if you can build a squad around Ronaldo, and you did say you don't think, like, you think he'll obviously taper it off penalties. Maybe he's mature now. He's 36 years old. Maybe he does allow Bruno to stay on penalties. But I think
takes him for Portugal, I think.
Well, yeah, it's just I think at the end of the day, it's an easy goal for him, isn't it? He's got a great penalty record. You're not going to. I think he shouldn't be on free kicks. That's for sure. They're all going. I think whoever's in the Stratford end would probably be cheering. They probably get a few free balls.
Now that you're mentioning free kicks, a free kick, 89th minute in front of the Stratford end, you're going to have Bruno, Pogba, Ronaldo, Sancho, and Rashford when he's back, all standing behind the ball.
And Fred on the right.
And Fred, he'll be there.
And Fred will still take it, won't he? Somehow
he'll be standing there. I wonder if he thinks that the goalie thinks he's going to take it. Like, when it's him and Bruno, is the goalie thinking, "Oh, Fred's going to kick this"?
Obviously, we won't go too much long, but there is one more point I want to bring up, and it's probably going to bring a bit of frustration in these good times to United fans. For the last 2 weeks, all we've been screaming for is a centre defensive mid, and it's been so quiet. And all of a sudden, we pull out almost $30 million for Ronaldo. Like, yes, he wasn't on the market, but you had $30 million. Why have we not gone after a centre defensive mid?
Well, I think personally, from what I've read and seen, I think United's number one target is Camavinga. And I think the reason they haven't got it, I don't think he's decided to leave yet. I think he's waiting because obviously he's got 1 year left. I think if anyone gets him, it'd be at the end of the window. Obviously, if he leaves on a free, he's got a lot more options. I think obviously we like to take our time sometimes. We've done a lot of business early, but I don't know. I think something could be in the mixer. Like, it was weird. With Ronaldo thing, when Ole done his press conference yesterday, he's usually very coy about things, and he was talking about. He would usually say Ronaldo's not our player. I won't talk about him. When he mentioned he knows we're here for him, I was like, something's there. So you're not going to hear much. Ole last week said he's happy. Not even last week, a couple of days said he's happy with his transfer. He doesn't think any more will come in. So you're not going to get much out of the club or Ole in terms of transfers, but we all know what transfer deadline day is like. So
yeah, exactly. I think
it could be a madness.
You've got 3 or so days to get a defensive mid if they do go after him. I personally don't think they will. We'll obviously come back with a transfer roundup and, the whole of world football, get Messi involved as well. I do want to finish that, however, even with this $30 million deal, Arsenal has still spent the most out of any Premier League club this window. And
it's insane.
They've done great business. Anyway, we've been the Football Tragics. We'll be back again for our preview, our review, transfer roundup. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
See you later.